Skill number 3 is presenting. Presenting. Here's what I learned from the professionals when it comes to presenting. We got this? Is it working, guys? Hello? Oh, there it is. 1, they don't make themselves the issue. When they're presenting, they're using third party as much as possible. If they're presenting face-to-face with somebody, they're using third party, they're using third party, they're using third party. Even a big shot with their prospects, they're using third party. They don't make themselves the issue. Oh, I'm making $1 jillion, so if you join me, it's going to be great. Because they know that that will short-circuit that person's results. They'll start to have a wrong expectation as to how and why they're going to be successful. So the most successful people use other people. When I talked about that 2006 video campaign, I was on the video. It was a huge disadvantage for me. People would say, hey, I remember, go on an airplane or something, and sometimes I'm in the mood to prospect and sometimes I'm not. I'm just not in the mood, I'll be honest. And I'll play with that sometimes. The guy next to me says, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a network marketing professional. What does that mean? Well, I'm in the middle of something right now, but here's a DVD. You can check it out if you want to. You don't have something to watch. We're sitting next to each other in first class. He's like, oh, he pops it in, slowly goes. Okay. I don't have third party now. Now, if I get involved with you, you're going to make me rich. And it's not as powerful as, leaders, what you'll find, talk to the top leaders, they don't make themselves the issue. They just don't. They use third party. Next. They act as a consultant. A person is trying to navigate their life, and they act as a consultant to that person to help them. So they ask those people questions about what they want in their life, and then they prescribe some solutions in the process. Here's a phrase that I learned a long time ago, and it's absolutely true. It doesn't matter what works. It only matters what duplicates. So when it comes to presenting, I used to say, put them in front of me, I'll do it all. And I could close them. Some people say, well, why wouldn't I do that? Because it works. It doesn't matter if it works. It only matters if it duplicates. For freedom in network marketing. So if you're doing everything and it's working, here's what your organization will look like. I'll show you. Throw that up. Here's what you want your organization to look like. An ever-growing group. If you do what works and not what duplicates, here's what you have to look forward to. It's even worse than that. I'll do it this way. Here's your front line. There's their front line. There's their front line. There's their front line. I sponsored 40 people and nobody's doing anything. Well, because you made yourself the issue. That's why. It worked, because you were influential. Why wouldn't you shortcut it? Put everybody in the room, say, I'm about to crush this thing. Line up if you want to get wealthy. Okay, I'm in. They tried that same approach with their people. It did not work. So now they come to you and say, if I put a bunch of people in the room, will you come over? Sure. You get a smaller group, flat line. So the pros, it's counterintuitive, because why wouldn't you do something that works? I can go sign them. I can go have lunch with them right now and I can sign them. And I could tell them, look, I'm a stud, I'm a star, you just get around me and you're going to make money. I could do that. You don't think I can do that? I can do that, but I kill them. It's like the butterfly, right? You know, the caterpillar's in the cocoon. If you want to help that new little butterfly get out, so you just take a razor blade and you just barely cut the edge of the cocoon so it can get out a little easier because you have compassion for the little butterfly. But because it didn't have the resistance, because it didn't have to do it on its own, because you did it for him, it falls out and dies. So you have to teach a process that allows a person to become independent from you as quickly as possible, which means you don't get to make yourself the issue. Next. What the professionals do in presenting, they bring passion, enthusiasm, excitement, and belief. So let me tell you, when it comes to presenting, one of the first things that you need to do, and it'll be difficult for us to do a deep workshop for this entire group, but I'm going to give you some framework for it. One of the first things you need to do is you need to create your story. Your story, because you're going to be telling your story for the rest of your career. What is your story? So let me give you the elements of a good story, because this story is third party. This story will help you. This story will guide you. This story will open doors for you. When you're doing your invitation, you can tell part of your story. Whatever you're promoting, even if you can't defend it, you're going to promote it. One is your background. As you know, I was a doctor, I was this, I was that, I'm, truck driver, whatever. Two, the things you didn't like about your background. Three, how your company or network marketing came to the rescue. And I was so fortunate I found this. And four, your results or how you feel about your future. You don't have to have results for your story to be powerful. So my background is I had 18 jobs before I was 22 years old. I was behind on my bills and my promises, and I had my family, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no college education, and obviously I was scared. I was scared about that. I was scared that my life was going to repeat itself. And I was fortunate to get introduced to the network marketing profession, to be able to give me a chance when the world wasn't giving me a chance, or at least I wasn't creating opportunities for myself. I found a place where I could learn and I could grow and I could do it on my own, and I would get support along the way. And in just a short period of time, I'm now on track to have control and have freedom, and I'm helping others, and I feel good about my life, and I feel good about my direction. 30 seconds. You can say that in every one-on-one. You can say that as a testimonial, your live meeting. You can say that on a conference call. You can say that on a three-way call. You can say that at your company convention. You can say that in every direction possible. But you need to craft it. Your best story. For Albert drove truck for how long? 7 years. Is there a way for you to briefly convey to me the pain that you felt in that process? How would you convey it?
It was the most excruciating, unappreciative job you could ever have.
Yeah. He said, he could say my background is I was a truck driver, and it was the most excruciating situation where I was so unappreciated every single day. I just couldn't imagine something where you'd feel less appreciated than what I was doing. And when he says that, the whole world will go, you know what, me too. Me too. I make my boss look good every single day, and I don't get appreciated. I've been busting my butt every single day, hard work, and I don't get appreciated. I just get more and more pressure. Me too. But then I found a way to escape. And look at me now. I'm out of the truck, and I'm on with my life. And I'm helping other people do the same thing. It was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. 30 seconds, 40 seconds. It's not a 5-minute thing. 30, 40 seconds. That story will serve you for your whole life. And what you need to remember, what a lot of people forget, including myself, the only story that's valuable is the story prior to network marketing. That's the story that's valuable to the people that you talk to. So for Tiffany, the story is not, Here's what happened to me in the last 3 years. The story is I was in the factory. I was making Smucker's jelly in Memphis, Tennessee. And here's how that made me feel. Here's how I felt about my future. Here's what I saw other people who'd been there for 10 and 20 years longer than me, and I saw the life that they had, and I didn't want that life. So here's what showed up. See, she's moved on. You know, when was the last time you were in that factory? 15 years? August of 2000. So almost 13 years ago. But guess what her most powerful story is now? That story from 13 years ago. That's what everybody relates to. The time when you went from outside of network marketing to inside and what it did for your life. If you got results, talk about them. If you have hope, talk about it. If you've got a future, talk about it. Whatever it is, talk about it, right? Craft your story. I wrote mine out because I wanted my testimonial to have impact with people. And then I told it every chance I could get. I was telling my story, telling my story, telling my story, and it always had those 4 elements. Okay, next. Tell your story to your prospects. Tell your story to other people's prospects. Tell your story on 3-way calls, conference calls, and webinars. Tell your story online, on Skype, on wherever. Tell your story at live events. Become known for your story. Tell it so many times other people will start telling it for you. If other people don't know your story, you've got a big hole in your business. Huge hole in your business. They've got to know it and be able to tell it with passion. It could have something to do with your company or network marketing, how your company or network marketing came to the rescue for you to help you escape from that situation. You know, if you've moved on to, multiple companies to the company you're at right now, you don't want to talk about the company that you joined way back when you made that first decision. You want to talk about network marketing allowed you to have freedom. It gave you a vision for your future. It allowed you to escape. See what I'm saying? All right. The person with the marker makes the money. In addition to your story, you've got to learn your opportunity presentation. And I'll tell you how I learned it. I learned it by copying the top earner in the company and recording their presentation, which they did exactly the same every single time, writing it down on a legal pad, pause, rewind, until I got it down word for word, recorded my own voice into the boom box, audio cassette, listened to it, was destroyed at how terrible it sounded. No energy, no passion, no nothing, flat, boring, dull. I did his same story, same joke, same everything. I just did exactly what he did. Okay, I changed my name to his name. That's it. It's the only thing I changed. Closed the same way, opened the same way, did exactly, transitioned everything the same way, told the same jokes, the whole thing. And I recorded it again and again and again and again about 5 or 6 times until it sounded okay. Then I put it in my car, I put it on both sides of the audio cassette, and I listened to it 500 times until I had my own little one-man play. It was a one-man show. I rehearsed, I had it so solid that if you said, tell me about the product, I could start in my mind where the presentation started with product, and I could do that section without any problem, exactly word for word. If they said, show me the compensation plan, I could start with that, and I could do it word for word. How do you close it at the end with some urgency? I could do that word for word. Whatever it was, I could do it. You know how much confidence that gave me? I was good in any situation. At any time, at any place. I learned the the opportunity presentation, and I looked for opportunities to tell it. And pretty soon I was the guy being asked to do sections of the local meeting. I was the guy asked to do different things. You got to learn a basic training. You got to learn how to do a good, inspiring, powerful basic training for your group with the fundamentals, but also with some attitude. Your story. Like Mike Sims threw in his story into what he talked about, but still some great basic training, right? He didn't start there. He finished there. And inspirational training to inspire your group. Sometimes they just need to be fired up where you're telling stories and you're doing stuff. Person with the marker makes the money, folks. And Joe, you got that video that you created? The call to action? Will you get that ready right now? Okay, good. Keynote speeches. I got to tell you a story and I'm going to wrap up with this. It's 1993. And I'm an up-and-comer. I'm making some money with my company. And I'm sitting, having a conversation with the CEO of the company and the top earner, the number one earner, who was, And we were talking about different things, and I jokingly said, he's a better networker than me, but I could out-talk him anytime. Give me a little preparation, put me on the stage, I can outdo him. A joke. And the CEO said, "Oh, really? All right, kid. I'm 29. He says, "All right, we got our big convention coming up. America West Arena in Arizona. We're going to have 14,000 people in the arena. Here's what we're going to do. You're both going to get the same exact amount of time, 12 minutes. And I'm going to pick some judges nobody's going to know about this. It won't be a popularity contest. It will be a performance contest. It's 3 months from now. And between the judges and myself, we'll decide who wins." I'm like, okay. What did I just do? Yes, I wanted to get on stage, but I was scared, man, because I didn't have this guy's power and influence, and everybody worshiped this guy. But you know what I could do? I could prepare. So I prepared. I prepared like my life hung in the balance. I mean, I wrote and I studied and I researched and I practiced and I prepared, because defining moments like this come not too often in your life. And I'll tell you what happened a little later, but I just found an audio recording of that talk 20 years ago. So the boys from Cash Media took that talk and they put some video images too, because there's no video, it's just the audio. I'm going to play it for you now. It's 12 minutes. Yeah. The voice is a younger voice. 20 years ago, 29. A younger voice, but it's my voice. And this is the presentation I gave in front of that group of people. Go ahead and watch it. Enjoy.
Over 200 years ago, there was a revolution, an American Revolution, an event that literally changed the course of history. It was led by a group of unsatisfied people. People who were tired of being told what they could do and when they could do it. People were fed up with their lack of choices and their lack of personal freedoms. People fed up with their lives being controlled by others. Fed up with being oppressed, fed up with being manipulated. They finally said, "Enough, I've had it, and I'm not going to live like this anymore." Our ancestors were people that took full responsibility for what happened to them. It was that spirit that ignited a country and formed what is now a giant in the free world. I have a question for you. Where's that spirit today? It's time for another revolution. Let me explain one of the laws of the universe. It's called the law of use, and it says simply this: whatever you don't use, you lose. Lack of use causes loss. Ambition unused declines. Faith unused decreases. If you don't use your skills, you lose your skills. If you don't use your freedom, you lose your freedom. Freedom does not come automatically. It's not attained and then handed down to us as an inheritance. It must be achieved each day. At the turn of the century, in the year 1900, less than 10% of us worked for other people or the government. Over 90% of us were self-employed. We were an independent people. In 1980, only 80 years later, over 90% of us worked for the other people or the government. Less than 10% of us were self-employed. We changed from an independent people to a dependent people. We'd slowly shifted from a people who took full responsibility for everything that happened to them to a people who've become talented and practiced at the art of blaming others for their problems. Our giant has fallen asleep. Our forefathers didn't say, "Who's going to take care of me?" They simply said, "All I ask is the opportunity to be free and the ability to take care of myself and my family." Today, we elect officials who will quote-unquote take care of us. We cry out against anyone who dares to ask us to provide more value in the workplace. We do everything we can to spread around the suffering in our society, and yet no one is willing to step up and be part of the solution. We've slowly changed from a society that compensates based on value to a society that compensates based on entitlement and seniority. What we've come to believe is our due. We act as if someone actually owes us a living. Part of this change is due to the dramatic rise of conformity in our society. We're all taught to conform. Incredible pressures are put on us every day to do things, quote-unquote, the right way. And yet no one asks the question, is this really the right way? A man once said, "I'm just a collection of mirrors reflecting what everyone expects of me." We live our lives to please those around us, and the scary thing is, the people around us are doing exactly the same thing. Psychologist Rollo May calls us outer-directed people. We don't act, we only react. We seek not to be outstanding, but to fit in. We're able to respond, but not to choose. Perhaps that's why a wise man once said, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation." In order to change, we need to become inner-directed people. People with our own purpose. People who are not easily swayed by the opinions of others. And that's difficult because from a very early age, we look to the opinions of others to orient ourselves and to validate our decisions and our actions. Nietzsche said, "We need more strong people in this world because the weak, by their sheer mass, are forcing weak ideals and weak values on us all." Today's massive social and economic changes are waking this slumbering giant. Some people may not be ready right now for the changes happening today in today's society. It doesn't matter if they're ready or not. An old proverb says, if a man wants his dreams to come true, he must first wake up. I, for one, am glad for the radical changes in our society because I believe that within that crisis, we will find that independent spirit that once pioneered this country. Some of us are finally ready to change. The displacement of our workforce has caused many of us to start searching for something better. Moving products and moving services is our business and our goal, but what we are becoming in the pursuit of that goal is a larger and much more important issue. The rekindling of our independent spirit has more lasting value. There's no more noble a business than the business that encourages the development of people. Every living organism has one and only one central need in life: to fulfill its own potentialities. The acorn becomes an oak, the puppy becomes a dog, and that's all that's required of the oak and the dog. But the human being's task in fulfilling his or her nature is much more difficult. The reason is, unlike any other living creature on this planet, you've been given the dignity of choice. You'll not grow like a tree. You'll grow only as you plan and choose to grow. When a person chooses to live, two things happen. First, assuming responsibility for themselves takes on a whole new meaning. They accept responsibility not as something they've been saddled with, but as something they themselves have chosen. The second thing that happens is that discipline from the outside is replaced by self-discipline. They accept discipline not because it's commanded, because they themselves have chosen what they want to do with their lives. Just like when the disenfranchised men and women over 200 years ago got fed up and said, "I'm not going to live like this one more day," there's another revolution coming. It's coming not just from Americans, but from people all over the world. It's coming from people who've been oppressed in meaningless jobs, from people who've been unjustly held back, from people who've been slighted or ignored, from people who've had their hopes crushed time and time again by the circumstances around them, from people who've been playing in a game where the rules weren't the same for everyone, from people whose dreams have almost died by the methodical dripping of negative and pessimistic forces, people who've just been waiting for the right opportunity to present itself, an opportunity that they could hold on to, believe in, a place where people believed in them. I hear the rumbling of this coming revolution every day. The old rules are changing, and society is finally ready for that change. Will people try to persuade you not to rise up? Yes, they will, and sometimes with the best of intentions. But we must fight anyone or anything that tries to influence us against our freedom. And they'll try. Believe me, they'll try. They'll try to suggest you off course, to nudge you off course, to distract you off course. There's another revolution coming, and it's going to be led by a group of unique and courageous people like you. People who've had it with the way things are. People who've picked out their mountain in life and said, "I'm going to the top." And if someone tells you you can't climb mountains, you don't have any experience. You tell them, "I'm going to the top." And if your neighbor tells you, "Come on, choose another mountain, that one's too rocky," what are you going to tell them? And if someone tells you, "Let's go over here where it's not so steep," what are you going to tell them? And if someone says network marketing, what are you going to tell them? And if your friend tells you, "Come on, let's climb this one, that one's too slippery," what are you going to tell them? If anyone tells you you can't go up, it's too rocky, too steep, too slippery, you say, "Listen here, I'm going up. You're either going to see me waving from the top or dead on the side. I'm not coming back." There's something about the do-or-die attitude. It's almost like when someone has a do-or-die attitude, time, fate, and circumstances seem to get together, have a hasty conference, and say, they say they're going to do it or die. We might as well let them have it. The people in this arena are special. You're special because you've already rekindled that independent spirit. You've already said that you're not going to conform to negative pressures around you. You've all said, "Enough, I've had it, and I'm not living like this anymore." You are the people who want to set big goals and aspirations for yourselves and your families. People who want to live in a country where families are brought together again instead of being torn apart. People who want a country where once again owning your own business and controlling your own destiny is commonplace. People who want a country where every man, woman, and child is treated with equal respect and dignity. People who will pay any price so their families will not live with the legacy of maxed out credit cards and unfulfilled promises. Today, we stand at the genesis of a new revolution, and people like you are going to lead it. Theodore Roosevelt said these words decades ago, and I think they're particularly appropriate today. He said, "We see across the dangers of the great future, and we rejoice as a giant refreshed. The great victories are yet to be won. The greatest deeds yet to be done. I've dreamt of a company that can give us the opportunity to make these dreams come true by allowing us all to fulfill our own true potential. I love you all. Thank you very much."
Huh? Wow. Something, huh? "1993. Younger voice than today for sure. 1993. Here's the lesson. We'll put it up online. Joe and Cash Media did a great job of putting it together. We'll put it up on Network Market Pro. We'll put it up on YouTube. You can use as much as you'd like. But what I'll tell you is this. What's the lesson? Prepare for your moment. Prepare. Put together your talk. That is borrowed from the books that I read and the audios that I listened to and the leaders that I respected and the ideas that I had in my own mind. But I was not completely the person that was qualified to say what I said, but I was the person who had an opportunity to say what I said at age 29. Oh, by the way, guess who won? I won, man. If we were working together personally, if I was coaching you personally, one of the most important things is for you to build your brand and for you to have a talk like that or better that everyone in the world can't wait for you to say, that if it's recorded and put on YouTube, it gets 1 million views because it inspires your whole group. Guess what happened to my life after that day? It blew up, man. I became somebody. Did you hear that talk from that kid? Man, all of a sudden my group looked at me different. They listened to me different. All of a sudden my words had weight. I had influence in the company. I had influence in the leadership. From 12 minutes. Now that 12 minutes took me 3 months to prepare for. Shorter the talk, the harder it is to prepare. But I'm telling you, prepare. Back to that last slide, please. Presenting. You got to decide that you're going to become a pro here. That you can do your story. That you can do your opportunity presentation as good as anybody in your whole company. In a way that lights people up with passion and energy. That you can do a basic training in a way that gets people to take the action that they wouldn't have taken if you hadn't done the basic training. That you, every single one of you, can do an inspirational talk for your team that will give them fuel to go to the next level. You'll be able to do a keynote and be asked to go up onto the stage because the company had heard about you and they want to hear your talk. And no, you don't need an hour. 12 minutes was enough. You could do a lot in 12 minutes if you prepare. So the lesson is to prepare, to be ready, to be awesome, to practice, to rehearse. What Les Brown says, rather be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than have an opportunity and not be prepared.